Hi students, today we'll be learning about how to find and estimate square roots, also known as radicals. Here's our warm-up. Go ahead and pause the screen and complete this. Now that you've finished the warm-up, let's go over the answers to these questions. Number 1, what does square root mean? Square root means when you multiply two of the same number in order to get another number. For example, we want to think of two numbers that multiply to get 4. There's only two possibilities here, and that number is 2. It has to be the same number. 2 times 2 is 4. We can also put negative 2 times negative 2 because that also gives us positive 4. Okay, now let's find the square root. Sometimes you'll see me write this as SQRT instead of actually using the square root symbol. The square root of 16. So I'm thinking of two numbers that when I multiply them, I get 16. That number is 4 because 4 times 4 is 16. The square root of 121 is 11 because 11 times 11 is 121. And the square root of 64, so if you want to write that using the symbol, we can do it like this. And the square root of 64 is 8 because 8 times 8 is 64. Now at the end of this lesson, you should be able to find square roots. What is a rational square root and what is an irrational square root? Here's example 1. I'm going to show you how to show your work a little more clear, even though we may know this answer right in our head. The square root of 4. So to show our work more clearly, we can break this down into the factors of 4, which is 2 times 2. We write those factors underneath the square root sign, like this. And anytime you see a pair of numbers, two of the same number, you get to bring one of those to the outside. So the square root of 4 is 2. And notice nothing is left underneath the square root sign, so nothing is here. Now let's do the square root of 32. So break 32 down into 4 times 8. 4 is 2 times 2. 8 is 2 times 4. And this 4 is 2 times 2. Now circle the very ends of the branches of the factor tree just so that we don't get confused. Notice I did not circle this 4 because it's not at the end of the branch. Writing all of these 2's underneath the square root sign. We had 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Circle pairs. So I see a pair of 2's here and another pair of 2's here. From the first pair, I take out one of those 2's, and from the second pair, I get to take out another one. And I'm left with this 2 still underneath the square root sign because it does not have a pair. Notice that when you take numbers out of the square root sign, you take them out by multiplying. So 2 times 2 is 4, and we still have square root 2. And that's your final answer. Example 3, the square root of 37. 37, when you break it down, is 1 and 37. There are no other factors. So this is what we call an irrational square root. Now example 4 says to estimate the square root of 60. So I need to think what two numbers is the square root of 60 between. So the easiest way to do this, I'm just going to write out the numbers 1 through 9 here. And square them to see what ends up closest to 60. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, and we have 36, 49, 64, and 81. The square root of 60, so the number 60 falls right here, in between the numbers 49 and 64. So this means that the square root of 60 is between 7 and 8. And we can write this just like that. And lastly, looking at example 5, the square root of 9 divided by 16, or the square root of 9/16. Now we can take separate square roots here. We'll do the square root of the numerator divided by the square root of the denominator. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 16 is 4. So our answer is 3/4. Okay, go ahead and do these 3 problems, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.